Hello there and welcome back to my channel. This is What If Deku Was Trade Part 4. Now we last left off, they just did the exercise with All Might. Now we skipped 3 weeks. Now we skipped one day. They were all in class, then Aizawa came in and said, I said, you need to get ready for the semester exam. Study, but don't forget to train. And then he said, all dismissed. And then they left. Now we skipped 3 weeks. They were given 3 weeks to study and train. After that, they did the written exam. Everybody passed. Deku was first. Anyways, now it's time for a practical exam. It's time for a practical exam. It was Izumi and Izuku versus All Might. And instead of who should it be? Instead of Hakakure, it's Bakugo. Sorry. The people who passed, and the people who failed. In canon. Like in canon. And then it's time for Izuku and Izumi versus All Might. And Izumi wanted to talk to Deku, said we need to work together, but when she tried, Deku just closed his eyes and put his hand in his pocket and started walking towards All Might. And then All Might sent the shockwave punch, but it did not. It pushed back Izumi, but it did nothing to Deku. And then Deku started walking again. And then Deku just did one swift punch to All Might. He walked up to All Might in front of All Might, and then he did one swift punch to All Might's neck, knocking him out. And then he handcuffed him, and then appeared in front of the winning gate, and then went through it. And then the hero team was declared the winner. Now we skipped to the time where Aizawa told them all that all of them would be going to the forest training camp. And this, I'm gonna go off track a little bit, and this is probably gonna be the last part because I want to move on to new series. Anyways, then Hagakure suggested to everybody to go to the mall, but the people who didn't come to the what's it called, the mall didn't come, and Deku. Instead of Deku, it's gonna be Izumi. So everything that happened to Deku with Shigaraki and canon, it's gonna happen to Izumi. And then the next week they all went to the forest training camp. They were in the bus. Deku was sitting in front alone. He was sitting like there's a hallway, and there's two seats in every side. Aizawa was on the right and he was on the left, like he was like sitting next to Aizawa. And then Aizawa looked at him and said, "Midori, no, not Midori. Midori, what happened to you?" Because he doesn't know about One for All, and he doesn't know that Rocket cheated on him, and he doesn't know that his parents disowned him. And then Deku said, "You don't need to know," because he was putting in one leg over another, and he was like closing the eyes with his arm crossed, with his arms crossed. No, I can't say it. Anyways, he was like sitting quietly, closing his eyes, like in a meditating state, even though he wasn't meditating. And then Aizawa said, because Aizawa missed the old Izuku that was like a happy-go-lucky kid. And then Aizawa said, "Talk to me, man to man." And then Aizawa, because like Izuku was sitting on the far left, and there was a seat right next to him. And then Aizawa stood up, and everybody saw this, and sat next to Deku and said, "Just tell me what happens." And then Deku explained everything. with still the same position. And then Aizawa said, "That's rough." And then Deku says, "Tell me about it." And then they arrived all around at the what's his face at the cliff where and then they came out, and there was only a black car, and then the doors opened to reveal a black hair no brown hairy woman wearing like a pink cat costume with another blonde haired woman wearing like a blue cat costume the same way. And then they gave the same speech as a cannon, and then Pixie Bob tried to push everybody like a cannon. She did, but she didn't push Deku because Deku time skip because he saw her, and he time skipped behind right next to Aizawa, and his hands were in his pockets and he was closing his eyes. That's his position. And then he deactivated his time skip and said, "Aizawa, is this supposed to be a challenge?" And then the Pussycats and then Mandalay and Pixie Bob were shocked because they didn't expect someone to dodge that. And then Aizawa said, "I knew you would get through that." And then Deku said, "Can I get on a bus?" Then Aizawa said, "Sure." Sorry. Then Aizawa said, "Sure." And then they arrived to the forest training camp. Deku just went to a tree and sat up. Like there was a tree and he jumped up to a branch and he was like in a meditating state. While the Wild Wild Pussycats were preparing food and Aizawa was just looking at the sky. No, he was like next to Deku on a tree on a tree right next to him. And then they start talking about life and how life isn't fair and how the heroes should be better and how about fake heroes and how Aizawa's story and Deku's story, something like that. Until 3 hours pass, the UA come. No, not UA. The class 1A comes. They just see Deku with Aizawa on the branch just talking, and the wild pussycats, making food. Then Ida walks up to, and then Ida sees a kid, and he walks up to them and says, "What is a kid doing here?" And then he gets punched in the nuts. But because I hate Ida, he's gonna get punched harder. Yeah, that happens. They eat the lunch. They train for about 1 week because I want to skip this because it's not important. Deku's just working on his physical strength and his time skip to make it a little longer because he can time skip for about 1 hour straight. Yeah, I'm making him overpowered. Anyways, then the villain attack. Deku went after Koda, but he didn't run. He just time skipped to Koda. When but he was fast enough to see when he was there when Muscular just appeared, and then Muscular tried to punch Koda, but Deku just punched him once, punched him in the neck, just like All Might, knocking him out. And then he grabbed Koda and time skipped all the way to Mandalay and dropped him off. And then says thank you. And then Deku disappeared and appeared in front of Magna. I think that's his name. Punching him once in the neck as well because that's the only technique that Deku knows without that will hurt someone and knock them out. Let's say I don't know this. I don't know if it's true. But let's say if you punch someone in the neck, if Deku punches someone in the neck, they will feel like a shockwave of pain in their body and then they will be knocked out 5 seconds after. Then he did the same thing to Spinner, and then he time skipped all the way to a near town and grabbed a rope and time skipped back, like wrapped them with a rope, and then grabbed Muscular, wrapped him around too. Dobby, Twice, Toga, and no, Mustard was captured. He captured Mustard too, and what's his name? Moonfish. I think that's the name. I think that's the guy with the teeth. I hate that guy. Even though he's captured, the only people who weren't captured were Dabi, Twice, and Toga. They came back. Didn't manage to capture Bakugo. But you guys might think that the All Might versus All For One fight didn't happen. Let's say All For One came out, was trying to destroy the city. All Might came. They did the same battle. All Might won. That's one thing led to the other. What am I saying? The same thing happened like in canon. All Might won. Uh, we skipped one. I'm moving way too fast because I'm working on a new. I'm thinking about a new series, and I'm thinking about it in my head, and at the same time talking to you guys. Anyways, I said anyways a lot. I need to stop that. Like I said, on my beats, All For One. Once they skip 1 month, they did the dorms. They did the dorms. They were training for their special moves. Yeah, they were training for the special moves. This would be a 15-minute video because I want to get this over with. They did the special move. Deku's special move was he didn't have a special move because he already has special moves. And then they did the exam for the license. Just gonna skip over that. Let's just say Deku passed, and one day Deku got a job request to kill Overhaul. Yeah, this request was one of this request was sent from one of Overhaul's lackeys because he was getting tired of Overhaul. Now, one day, let's say it was 1 month before the raid. One day, the lackey told Deku where the base is. So one day, at night, Deku was in the area where the base is, and then he had like that thing that you can see from afar. I forgot what's name. Not a microscope, a scope, something like that. I forgot. Like no, let's say he used key in his eyes to see further. It is, if he puts key in his eyes, he can see from far distance. So he saw one of Overhaul's lackeys go walk to a wall, click on the bricks, a door opened, and he memorized what the code was. So Deku came. There were some guards. Deku killed them. He walked up to the wall. He did the same code the code that he saw the lackey do. When he opened it, he saw about 15 guards. He killed them all, slaughtered them. Not slaughtered them, just punched them in the heart, killing them. Because Deku just doesn't like to dirty himself with blood. Yeah, that happens. Deku keeps walking around, killing guards left and right, and then he comes up to the big guy who didn't want to be a villain. I think he just wanted to fight, if I'm correct. Yeah, and then Deku couldn't punch him in the heart because his skin was too. He had too much layers of skin, so he couldn't punch him in the heart. He could punch him in the heart, but it won't kill him. So Deku was fighting him. The guy wasn't able to touch Deku because he can time skip. How could he touch him? And yeah, and then Deku gets an opening, and then he does a time freeze, freezes the guy in place, then walks up to him. This time that enhances, like doing a key sword and slicing off his head. But he time skipped away so he doesn't get blood on his clothes. And then Deku finds Overhaul, and then Overhaul says, "What do you want, and how did you get in my base?" And Deku said, "I have a job to kill you, so die." And then he punched him, did the air punch, punched him into the heart, killing him instantly. And then Deku was walking out, and then he found a room where he heard a girl crying. And then he walked up to the girl and said, "Why are you crying, girl?" And then the girl said, "He captured me and tortured me to get quick canceling bullets." And Deku got pretty mad, and he was insulting himself for not giving Overhaul a slow and painful death. And then Deku called the police. Like he grabbed one of the his phone, called the police. He used a voice changer so the police couldn't recognize him. Told him to come here, and then he disappeared. And yeah, that happens. The police find Eri. They find all the dead bodies. They find a dead Overhaul. This gets on the news. Everybody sees this, and then the girl, because Eri, let's just say Eri couldn't see Deku's face because it was in the dark. She could only see his red eyes. And when the police questioned her, she said, "I only saw red eyes." And then they knew who did that. It was the assassin. They call him the red-eyed assassin. That's like a small out because I don't want to do an overhaul arc because people love this series, but not as much as they love the what if Goku was betrayed. Even though the series gets this like I'm getting off track, but this series and the What If Naruto was neglected prodigy and what if Goku was betrayed were the best series that I ever done in my channel, like the best. Yeah, that's it. They did the festival like in canon. Yeah, this is a good place to end of the video, and this is a pre-recorded video, so because I have school tomorrow and I don't wanna, cause after school I'm tired, so I just pre-recorded so I don't have to record. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you. Peace. Sorry for this being like a quick video, because I want to get this over with. So peace.